In a large, bare, stone-floored room, I asked the father to provide some historical background.
What you think about the story of St. Columba and the water horse?
Certainly, that was the earliest description we have of it. That came in a life, if I'm mistaken, not written by St. Adamnan, when he wrote the life of St. Columba. How St. Columba, as you know, came from Iona up this way. There's some monks to convert the king of the Picts, which he, according to St. Adamnan, he did. And as they were crossing the river Ness, he has this story of a great serpent affair coming for a man who was swimming across the loch, and St. Columba making the sign of the cross and driving it off. You know, one hasn't got to accept this as gospel because it's written by a saint. It's interesting, but it seems to throw some early light on Nessie. But it also been bitten to death by it. Well, this certainly doesn't seem in line with the creature that we're talking about, because it's very shy. That's why I'd rather tend to treat it as a legend, rather. But there we are. But what is interesting is that that is the first kind of news of anything strange in the loch. But there's always been a tradition among the natives here. One of the old monks who died about 92, I asked him, we've heard a lot about this monster since 1936. It seemed to begin to make news then when they were building the new road, and they dynamited hundreds of tons of rock into the loch, and it began to appear many times that year. I said, in your early days here, had you heard any news about it? You know, because he was very old. Or he said, yes. He said from the inhabitants around here, there's always been a kind of tradition. There's been what they call a water horse in the loch.
Then I asked him what he had seen.
Sighting of some of the others, but it's quite clear. And I was with an organist from London, a well-known organist, who plays Westminster Cathedral sometimes. And it was a beautiful October morning, and we were staying here, and I said to him, let's go down and have a look at the loch. So we were on the edge of the loch in our garden, looking across to the bay, and the water was quite calm, and there were no boats, because you can be deceived by, say, a wash of a trawler. It makes quite a wave across the loch. And we suddenly noticed in the bay, about 200 yards off, a tremendous commotion in the water, tremendous turbulence. And we could tell from the extent of it, it was some big body that was causing this. And then we were fairly staggered to see a black neck. I don't know how it was, about half a foot across, perhaps, in the distance. The astonishing thing was the height out of the water of this neck. We didn't see the body, but it must have been fully 7 feet out of the water, moving along slowly. For about 17 seconds we saw it, and then it went down, a kind of sideways motion, disappeared. But this fellow with me was absolutely staggered. Well, I was myself, but he said if I hadn't been with him, he'd have ran. That was his feeling.